off there. Brilliant. So we are recording this so that people can watch it back, and people that couldn't make it will have access to it as well. You're going to really love this. Corinne will tell you how amazing Karen is.
Indeed, you're in for a good one. What we'll ask is that if everyone keeps themselves on mute, and then if just give us a wave if you've got a question, and Karen will address it, or you can pop your question in the chat, but just so that there's no interrupting noise whilst Karen is giving all her marvelous information. That would be fab.
Okay, so shall we hand over to Karen to do an introduction?
Okay.
Brilliant.
Yep, that's
You're
fine.
live.
I'm live. I'm live.
Please do not
Brilliant.
swear.
Welcome, everybody. Really, really good to be here. I've known Steve, Corinne, Jay and Nat for years now. I probably 2016-ish, 17 actually, 2017, when I got my first puppy. I met Nat at a training class, and then gradually have kind of just inculcated myself into their businesses. and now they can't get rid of me. So it's really lovely to be here. I have a soft spot for dog training businesses, having worked with quite a few now over the years. And so I'm just going to cover this evening a couple of the things that come up quite a lot for dog trainers or behaviorists when they are working with dog owners, particularly, not so much the dogs. You're all specialist at that. But to give you a little bit of background, I've been business coaching specifically for 5 years. I only coach solo business owners. So I've become more of an expert in that space and the challenges that we face, because solopreneurship is, in my opinion, the hardest form of business ownership that exists, because you are doing all the things. And for a lot of us, we get into business ownership because we want to have an impact in the world, and we want to serve a particular audience or enjoy what we're doing and do what we love with a particular group of people. And in your case, it's in the dog world. And what tends to happen is we really would love it if just a steady stream of clients would come along, and then all we had to do was really just work with these lovely people that come along with their dogs. And then what we discover is that there's a lot of other stuff around running a business that is less what we wanted to do, and that we feel less expert in. And I think once we don't feel expert in it, it's a bit more of a struggle to do it, when we tend to always favor the things that we feel good at quite naturally. And so, having worked with a lot of solo business owners over the years, I have frameworks in place now to help make it easier for you. And I want to share a couple of those things with you this evening, and just talk to you about how you can set up your business so that it really does run smoothly, and that you've got the right kind of building blocks in place. So I've got a couple of things that I'll share that I'll make available to the Pact team to post somewhere to you, either to email out, because I've got a few things that I want to be sharing with you. So the first thing I think that a lot of business owners really struggle with are things like, what is it that I'm actually meant to be doing in my business when I'm not working with my clients? So what are all the other things that I need to be doing? And so I mapped out, and I should have, here's one I prepared earlier, except I didn't. There it is. I've mapped out a particular framework that you can use to just look at your business and say, do I have all of these bits in place? Do all of these things make sense in my business, and have I got them all? So I'm going to take you through that. And then I'm going to talk to you about one particularly tricky area in business, which is pricing. So lots of people struggle in the area of pricing. So those are the two things I'm going to focus on. And if you've got questions, then please use the reactions at the bottom to raise your hand, and then I'll ask you to unmute yourself and we can have a conversation, or put your question in the chat and I'll pick it up as we go along. I'm really happy to be interrupted. This can be completely interactive. It doesn't have to be, you know, me talking at you. So let me share with you, this is called the pole position framework. And the reason it's called that is because it enables you, I don't know how many of you might follow Formula One, but the thing about being in pole position is it's the best possible place on the grid to have the success that you want. And what I want for you as solo business owners is to be in the best possible place to get the success that you want. And success is defined in a lot of different ways, but for most of us running businesses, we do need financial success. And I want to say that there is nothing wrong with focusing on and wanting financial success. Because unless you have some financial success, having impact in the world in the way that you want to have it becomes very difficult, because money worries are the worst for most business owners. So I want to help you to put your business in the best possible place. Now, when I show you this, you might go, oh my God, there's loads. I'm going to talk you through it, don't worry. And it's nowhere near as complicated as you think. So this is the pole position framework. And basically it's a single page that shows you what you need to have in your business. And you can see there that it's very clearly split into two halves. Because you're a solo business owner, everything that happens in your business affects you, and everything that happens to you affects your business. You're in this kind of symbiotic relationship. And so we need to address that as solo business owners and make sure that we set ourselves up well, particularly, and this is a big emphasis with Pact and why I'm so thrilled to be working with the team at Pact, because they understand the importance of psychological safety. And we have a huge responsibility as solo business owners to create businesses that are psychologically safe for ourselves, as well as the people that we interact with. And that's the strong focus that Pact has got on your well-being. You'll also see reflected in the pole position framework. So the first thing that I would really invite you all to think about is your purpose for your business. And there are two purposes that you need to have for your business. The first is, why does your business exist for you? And that's the thing that I was talking about, financial success, but also the other definitions of success that you might have. So you might think about how many days a week you want to work with clients, how many days off you'd like to have. Would you prefer to work just during the day, or do you like evening and weekend work and you'd like to have in the week off? Different things suit different people, but why does your business exist for you? What is it? What are the outcomes from your business that you want? So that you're really setting up the business with yourself in mind. You are the most important person, because your whole business foundation is based on you and what you're able to deliver. So getting really clear about what you want your business to do for you is the first step. And then you want to go over to your business purpose. Why does your business exist for your clients? And you want to really be thinking there about how you would explain to people the difference that you want to make in the world. So that's the impact that you want to make. Why does your business exist for your clients? And then that's usually much shorter. It's usually 1 or 2 sentences, your business purpose, but your purpose for you, the reason your business exists for you, might be several things. You know, one of my things is I'd love my partner, Chris, to be able to choose whether or not he retires within the next few years. So that's a purpose. It's an outcome I want my business to have for me. So make sure you're really clear about that. Now, one of the things people get a bit wrapped around the axle about is what am I meant to be doing when I'm not with clients? So how do I approach this when I'm not with clients? And you can see there that there are 4 core functions for you as a solo business owner. So I'm going to take the star function first. You are the star of your business. That means that if you don't show up, nothing happens. So anything that you want to happen in your business has to come from us. You know, you're like the stand-up comic of your business, only maybe not so funny. Although you might be, you could be hilarious. I'm not that funny, so I'm more like, I don't know what I would be in my business, a very unfunny stand-up comic. If I don't show up, if you don't show up, nothing happens in your business. There's no show. And so as the star, you'll see that here, you are that 100% of the time in your business. 100% of the time, you have to be the star. You have to fully show up. And so you need some serious support to do that. And so we have some critical success pillars that are conveniently colored the same, that enable you to show up as your best self every day. And the first of those is your self-care practices. And I want to be really clear here that self-care has to be truly intentional. Self-care is more than naps and nature walks. We need to be thinking about how we look after ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and how we give ourselves that kind of soul food. So we might say spiritually, but you know, for some people that's got a tricky, you know, that's tricky, but certainly we need to be thinking about all of those areas. So it matters what you put into your body. It matters how you fuel yourself. It matters if you're not fully hydrated. You'll find doing a full day of really good quality work tricky if you're not well fueled and well hydrated. You're using your voice a lot when you're training. Have you thought about intentionally, how can I show up as my best self and look after my voice? So there's lots of different elements of self-care. As I say, it's more than naps and nature walks. We want to get intentional about how we show up as our best selves. Now, you've got a fabulous support network here, Impact, but it's also important for you as solo business owners to find business buddies, people that can support you in your business that are also running businesses. Now, you're all running businesses and you may start to formulate different relationships in here, so that you've got a business buddy or two that when you just want to talk to somebody about what's going on in your business, you've got somewhere to go. So we need a support network, but I want you to think broadly about your support network in terms of also other things that would support you showing up really well. So things that support me are having somebody to clean our house and help me a bit in the garden from time to time and do my ironing. Like, they're all things that really support me showing up as my best self, because I'm not at my best self if I have to do housework. Trust me, nobody wants to be around me if I have to clean the house, because I don't like doing it and I get quite grumpy. So what's your support network? And then you have a paid and unpaid support network. So obviously Pact is part of your paid support network. Your business buddies form part of your unpaid support network. So think about that element. Then you want to be thinking about your personal development. And that is another thing about you showing up as your best self. Now, Impact, obviously you're taking care of your professional personal development, but you also want to think about your personal development in terms of how you are in your business. So your development as a business owner and being intentional about growing your skills as a business owner, because your business will only grow as much as you do. And you can be the most amazing, and I've met incredible trainers and behaviorists who sadly will always find it very difficult to run successful businesses because they're not focused on how to develop themselves as business owners. So think about that element of your personal development as well. So those three things, we need to get those in place and sort of be keeping an eye on them and making sure that they're there and they're present and they're working well so we can really show up. And then there's a proportion of the time that you need to lead your business. You need to give it direction. And I'm going to tell you where those points of time are. You can see them, the orange circles on the left-hand side there in your business when you're in an RPA cycle and team. And I'll come to that in just a second. But there is some time when you need to step out of your business and think about how you're leading it, how you're giving it direction. And we can't be working with clients all of the time. We need to step out sometimes and think about where we're going and how we're getting there. And then there's a proportion of time when you need to design your business. And the pole position framework really is like a wiring diagram for your business. So when you're in the designer mode, you are putting in place the business purposes, as you can see, and systems and processes that support you having the kind of business that runs smoothly. So as solo business owners, we often miss this. We don't have systems and processes simply because we kind of think we don't need them. But you end up with quite a haphazard way of working, and haphazard ways of working lead to haphazard results. And what we want is consistent results. So we want consistent ways of working. So you need to design your business and step away from your business and design it, and go through carefully the different parts of the business and make sure that there's systems and processes in place. Nothing complicated. I don't have anything complicated in my business. I can't cope with complicated. Far too stupid for that. I have a book, a notebook. This is a Pandu, nice and environmentally friendly. I hope it gets Jay's seal of approval, otherwise I'm in trouble. It said it was environmentally friendly. And there's a nice quote about the future on the back. Mine are all handwritten. Look, this is a process for creating my podcast. As I created it, I just wrote down the stuff I was doing, so that, and it goes on for quite a few pages. This is why I needed a process. It goes on for like pages and pages. But it means that when I create my podcast, I don't forget anything. It's really easy for me to do it. And I don't avoid doing it because it's a process it's driven by a process. So that enables me to do it really easily. And so I designed that when I was thinking about how can I make my connection strategy work better. So we need to step out. Now, stepping out, how much time are you going to be in leader and how much time in designer? About 10% of the time. If you want to work a 40-hour week, then around 4 hours a week, you need to be stepping out of your business and doing some stuff around leading and designing, I would say, especially at the beginning before you have systems and processes. Once you've got systems and processes in place, your leader and designer might only be a couple of hours a week. So, but you need to put more time into it in the beginning. Now, the fourth one you'll see there is action taker. And that's really where you are working in your business, doing the do. And when you're taking action in your business, you want 5 core business functions that you need to be keeping an eye on and working in that are often forgotten. The first one is the create function. You need to be creating products and services that dog owners really want. You need to be meeting the needs of the hero of your business story, which is not you. You're the guide. The hero of your business story are your clients. And so you want to be creating products and services that they really want. And you need to be regularly coming back to the create function to make sure that what you're offering them is still fresh and what they want. So every now and again, you need to spend some time coming back to create and working in that area to make sure that you're keeping everything nice and fresh. The next bit round is connect. This is our marketing. How do we connect with the people that want to work with us? And you need to be taking action in the connect function to make sure that you get the right kind of clients and that you get enough of them. Now, at the moment, there is no shortage of people. There's probably more of a shortage of dog trainers than there is a shortage of people that need dog training. But you still need to be connecting with the right people. So it's important that you take action in that area. And obviously you don't want people wandering off to other types of dog trainer. So we're all force free in here, and we want more people to find us and find the message that force free is the way to train your dogs. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because I don't know enough about it. You're the experts, but I think I'm on safe ground there. Then you want to think about your conversion strategy.
You delivered the script very well there, Karen. Well done.
Thank you. Phew, I'm so relieved. So then you want to come into your convert. And this is sometimes we get a bit uncomfortable with the kind of selling element. When you bring people into one of your programs, people want to go on a journey with you. And having an amazing relationship with your dog is a lifelong thing. And so you always want to be allowing people to keep working with you for as long as they want to. Some people will drop off, the box tickers will drop off, but there are some people, and they're the people you want to attract, that want to always be developing into the best dog owner that they can be. And so in your convert strategy, when you're working in convert, you need to make sure that you know, how do I get people to keep on this journey, and what am I offering them next? So you can see that your create strategy and working in create will feed round into connect and convert, that you, as people finish your bronze program or your puppy class or whatever it happens to be, they can move into the silver and the gold and the platinum and the whatever else you decide to add in, you know, your recall class or your you know, bitey puppy class or whatever it happens to be that you create. But people want to be on that journey, so think about that, because we get uncomfortable with the idea of selling, but actually people want to know how they can keep working with us. So give them that opportunity, and be aware that when you're taking action in your business, you are actively seeding the next thing. You don't have to be saying to people, come to my next class. We can, you know, we're just seeding the fact that there is something else available if you want to stay on this journey with me. And it's an invitation. You are laying on a party for dog owners and their dogs, and you're just inviting them to the party. And so that's all selling is. I've laid on this party for you. Would you like to come? And they can see what's on offer at the party and how great it's going to be, and then they get to decide. Then obviously you're in delivery, and I think we naturally, because we're experts in our field, we kind of ignore the bit about making that really intentional. How do you create an incredible client experience? Because that's what's going to mark you out. What you actually want to do is have a system for creating raving fans. So we take interested dog owners and we convert them into paying customers, and then we want to deliver to raving fans, so that by the time they finish working with you, they can't stop talking about you because the experience has been so amazing. And we have to be really intentional about that, because just knowing our stuff in our area of expertise won't create raving fans. Sometimes we overwhelm people with too much knowledge. Sometimes we're a bit, maybe, you know, some people might not have a nice delivery style. We've all had that doctor that's not had a nice bedside manner. You know, you need to be considering this in the way that you operate. So be intentional about, how do I deliver an amazing client experience so that I can have raving fans consistently. And this is why in the pole position framework, all this is based in systems and processes. Because if you want a consistent delivery process that always remembers that you give the freebie at the beginning, and that you give people this special thing, and that you regularly in your Facebook group or whatever, however you decide you're going to deliver this amazing experience for people, it needs to be consistent. And what systems and processes do is enable you to be consistent. If you have to rely on your memory all the time, it's the worst possible way to run a business. If you have to remember at the beginning of every class that you set it up a certain way, or that you say these certain things, or that you remember that you've got to mention the new class that you're starting, if it's all written down in a checklist, which would be part of that process, you don't have to remember it. So systems and processes are things like checklists, just the way that you do things, little flow diagrams, if that works for you, you know, just pictures, if that works for you. But it's just, what do I do? What order do I do this? And make sure that you don't forget anything. And finally, we have tracking and managing. So if you're trying to create a consistent business, you need to know what's working and what's not working. And the only way to know what's working and not working is to track and manage. And of course, the other thing that we need to be doing in track and manage is managing our cash, making sure that we don't just spend money based on how much money we can see in the bank, which is how a lot of people spend money. So if that's you currently, I'm no judgment, I've been there. But it's better for us to plan how we're going to use our cash and how we're going to manage it, and make sure that we're paying ourselves properly. Make sure that we're not caught out by that tax bill because we've put away the money for it properly. So managing cash is important in track and managing, but so is client feedback. Are we intentional about gathering client feedback so that when we come round to create next, we know what people are saying about our products and services? We know what ones we need to create next. We know how people would like to move on with us, or what's not quite right. So when we come back round, we've got something to work with. So feedback is something in Track and Manage. If you're a new business, you want to find out what's connecting with people, what marketing is working and what isn't working. You know, social media isn't the be all and end all. I know a lot of businesses that aren't really on social media that much. That's not really where they get their primary source of leads from. And they know that because they've been tracking and managing. And so then they only spend time working in the areas that really work. So we don't need a lot of complicated stuff in Track and Manage, but just a few key metrics that tell you where are people coming from. If I get 30 people, you know, interested in my product, but only one person buys, then maybe there's something wrong between connect and convert. Maybe I'm not being bold enough. Maybe I'm not being clear enough when I invite people to my business party. If they're converting and then, you know, there's a problem, we're not really getting that great feedback, then we know that it's in delivery that we're not really connecting. So we need to be definitely tracking and managing. And then once you've got all that in place, obviously you've got these critical support pillars. I've talked a lot about systems and processes. That's absolutely a critical success pillar for your business. Without them, you will be working very haphazardly and chaotically. And that's not what anybody wants, because chaotic working isn't efficient. You spend so much longer doing everything if you don't have systems and processes in place. Now, the other two are when you're leading your business, and the RPA cycle is rest, plan, action. So you need to be in regular rest, plan, and action cycles. Now, a classic case of a rest, plan, action cycle would be you're going to finish this webinar shortly, and you're going to have a rest. You're going to move away from your business. You're going to stop working on your business, and you're going to have a rest. Hopefully, you're going to sleep well if the weather allows us to get a decent night's sleep tonight. So you'll be resting. And then in the morning, when you come to your business, plan your day. So you think, what do I need to get done in my business? You might look at the pole position framework and say, where do I need to be taking action in my business today? What is it that I really need to be doing? And so you plan your day, and then you get into your day and you start taking action. And then you'll end your day again and we'll be resting, hopefully. And then so that's a natural daily rest, plan, action cycle that you can put in place very intentionally. And then you should have a weekly rest, planning, and action cycle, so that you work you rest at the weekend, or whenever you decide you're going to take your rest time. It might be Sunday, Monday, it might be Monday, Tuesday, but you have a rest time, a weekend, and then you plan for the week and you think, what do I want to achieve this week in my business? And then you start taking action on that plan. And then there are other rest, plan, action cycles that I would want you to be thinking about quarterly and certainly biannually and annually that you should be taking. And what I would say is that the period of rest and planning, should reflect the period of time that you're going to work in. So it takes me 5 minutes to plan for a day. It takes me about 15 minutes to plan for a week. But if I'm doing a monthly or quarterly plan, I'm spending half an hour, 45 minutes. So your planning shouldn't take hours and hours. It's just as long as you know, what action do I need to take to get the results that I want. So that's you leading your business, giving it direction, telling your business what's happening, and at the same time leading yourself, telling yourself intentionally, this is where we're going in our business. Now, the third critical success pillar is team. And you may think, well, it's just me, I don't have a team. Well, you are your team at the moment, and you are a critical success pillar. So you need to be, again, looking after yourself and thinking about, what do I need to be doing in the business? But I also want you as solo business owners to think a bit more broadly about team. The idea of running a successful business really is that you do more of the work that you love and less of the things that you're not so good at or that you don't enjoy. So already as solo business owners, I want you to start to think about who would you bring on board? Who might you outsource to? What would your ideal team look like, so that you can start to grow your business in the right direction? So I believe that having even a tiny, tiny team of 1 or 2 outsourcers, you know, most people start with bookkeeping, most people hate their books. So you might start with, well, that's a team member. I need to make sure that I bring that person on board. I use a copywriter in my business to support me. So think about what would support you. What would your ideal be that you would stop doing in your business and that you would pass on to somebody else? And then with the pole position framework, you can just gradually, none of this happens overnight. You know, it's taken me years to get this really functioning like it runs on rails in my business. So don't look at this and think, oh my holy hell, I've got to do this like by next week. You just pick one bit. You say, I looked at the pole position framework with a group of business owners recently, and we said, where on a scale of 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, where do you think you're at with each of these things? And a lot of people start with things like self-care. So, and get that in place. And I would definitely say, if you get those critical support pillars in place for you first, and then move over and look in your business, where am I weakest in my business? On a scale of 1 to 5, how would I rate each of these things? And then just pick one area and start working on it in that 2 to 4 hours a week that you set aside, where you're leading and designing your business. And that's why we need to have that leader designer time, so that you can have that time where you're being very structured about how to create your business, how to design it. So that's the pole position framework that I'll be sending to the Pact team, that you'll be able to kind of follow along with now. If you watch this again, you can get a reminder of what it's about. But the first thing I would recommend you do is print it out and do that exercise. Just audit on a scale of 1 to 5, where do I think I'm at? Do I have a business purpose? Do I have a purpose for myself? You know, do I know why my business exists and what I want to get out of it? So do have a look at that and do that first. Now, I can't see any hands raised or questions in the chat. I don't think I've missed any. So I'll let you just take a breath for a minute, because that's quite a lot of information in a short space of time. But I really, you know, the title of this was How to Have a Better Dog Training Business. And for me, that those things that I've shared with you are fundamental to how you create that. And I don't think there's many places where you can get a framework like that that tells you the wiring diagram for what you need to have in place. So do make use of that. Corinne, Steve, Nat, Jay, anything that you want to share before we kind of get into a little bit on pricing?
Oh, firstly, thank you, Karen. I think we've seen those setups before, haven't we? You've definitely put those out for us. And as you said, it's not one of those, right, get it all done now. It's definitely a process that you start and you keep going with. So don't be overwhelmed by that. I think Karen made a good point about that anyway. But
yeah, I think your business needs to be an overwhelm-free zone. You need to intentionally make a decision that your business is going to be an overwhelm-free zone. That when you feel that sense of anxiety about what you've got to do, that you just take a breath, because most of what we do isn't life or death. I know it can feel like it sometimes, but most of what we're doing is not life or death. It's important, but we can take a breath. It doesn't all have to happen like the instant that we get started. And even if we want certain sizes of business, understand that it takes time to build a business. You know, it takes 2 to 3 years to build a business. So be patient with yourself as you learn how to do it, because you will learn to be a business owner as you be a business owner. Don't wait to be a business owner before you get going. Just kind of start doing it, and you know, get help from the people in Pact. You know, Steve and Corinne and Jay and Nat are fantastic business owners. They are really good at knowing instinctively what needs to happen in business. So reach out to them, because they're not just brilliant dog trainers. You've also got people at your disposal that are great at the business side. They've all grown their own businesses. So they are a fantastic resource for you.
I really like, just jumping in quickly, Karen, I really
Yeah.
like the point you said about just take one thing and look at that. That's kind of the approach I take with everything now. That's something that you've always spoke to us about, because that's how I deal with that overwhelmed feeling, or that feeling of anxiety of that I've got too much to do today. Just take one thing, work on that, move on to the next thing, and starting on those pillars. Especially, it's interesting that you said about the pillars on the you side first, because that's probably the last thing people will think about, the self-care aspect of it. And that's so important, because if you're not turning up, then your business ain't going to turn up with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't matter how great, it doesn't matter how many systems and process you've got. If you're too knackered or exhausted to do them, then no hope. Nat.
It's been a real sorry, Nat. It's been a real for a lot of dog trainers. I know since we're coming out of the pandemic, it's been a bombardment of people and customer inquiries and things like that quite often. So that learning when to relax and plan your days off, very, very important.
Definitely.
Yeah, not just plan your days off, but plan your admin days, and they are not your day off. You're not having a day off if you're on your laptop the whole time.
That's such a good point.
Sorry, Jack wants to join in, but I was just going to use a bit of dog training terminology, and I think that Karen's approach to business ownership and kind of getting where you want to without taking over the world is just like back chaining. So think about, when we train a behavior and we have the aim and we start at the end point and then we work backwards, and only then can you really put priorities that are your daily, your weekly priorities. Because if you don't know where you want to be in 5 years, then how are you going to plan what you're doing over the next fortnight?
That's such a good point. So somebody said, tell us more about finding your tribe. So that's in the connect part. Really, finding your tribe is about knowing who you most want to work with. So you need to understand yourself. Who do I work with best? So I know I love working with solo business owners. I know that I love working with people who are experts in their field, but don't feel so expert at business ownership. And I know people, and I know I work really well with people who feel like they do a lot of busy work, but aren't making the progress they want to make in their business. So they're not doing as much, they don't feel like they're doing business work, they're doing a lot of busy work. So I know that about my tribe. And so I speak that language. And the more I speak that language wherever I go, whether it's in print media, whether I was doing an advert, whether I'm on social media, whether it's in the podcast, I'm speaking the language that my ideal community is speaking, that my tribe is speaking. And then anybody that finds me that's like, I know what I'm doing, I just want to get better at, how to be on LinkedIn. They know that they're not going to get that from me because I'm not a LinkedIn expert. That's not what I teach, and they'll find that. And so I know people that are, and I introduce them to those people. So, in your world, if you're a trainer and you have a very reactive dog, you're going to refer them to a behaviorist. And it's the same for me. I know my area of expertise. I know the people that I most want to work with, and anything outside of that, I have a little network of people that I can pass to. So getting your right tribe is about speaking the right language. And what tends to happen is we want to help everybody. So we start with language that says, I help dog owners, have well-trained puppies. We just talk the language of training maybe, and it's very broad. And so anybody with a dog who wants to tick the box of being a dog owner and have ticked the box of going to a puppy class just goes and finds a puppy class, don't they? And they just rock up. So if you want particular types of dog owners, let's say you really love working with families, all of your marketing is going to be around the challenges of having a dog in a family and the things that can go really, really well. You have an aspirational vision that you give people of how wonderful it can be if they work with you. And there's a sprinkling of, this is what can go wrong, and this is what I want you to avoid. And then you will get known as the expert in families, helping families have an amazing relationship with their dog. You might want to do something for single people. And so you start, saying, well, actually, I'm going to work with people who are single so that they can actually build a community with other single people who have got dogs. So you can choose, you don't have to niche that precisely, but you definitely need to know, what type of person am I trying to attract? Do I just want to make sure, and this is perfectly valid, is my aim to make sure that everybody who gets a puppy learns some force-free techniques? And so I'm just going to be quite broad with who I help, but I'm going to focus on the fact that it's force-free and why that really matters. So you get your tribe by talking about the types of things that matter to you and the people that you want to work with. It obviously goes a bit more in depth than that. In the programs that I run, we do quite a lot of exercises around, and if I get invited back, I'll take you through some exercises that would help you, that I share with my clients, to kind of get deeper into who do I most want to work with. But that's the key to finding your tribe, is to speak the language that they're speaking, and make sure that you kind of narrow that language so you do exclude people that you don't want. So if you don't want the box tickers, if you want the crazy dog people who would spend any amount of money on their dog and, do all of that stuff, then you may well, then you need to speak that language so that only people who are absolutely crazy about their dogs will come and work with you. So I hope that helps a little bit. Yeah, Joe, I think lockdown has created a lot of change for people. And you're right, it is a really good time to reflect on your business and your offerings, because things have moved on, and so many people have got dogs now that didn't have dogs before. So it's a perfect time for you as a community to think about, what do we need to be offering now, because and how do we need to help all of these rafts of people who now have dogs and puppies that didn't have them before, and maybe got them because they were a bit lonely at home or struggling with mental health. Nat?
Just to say that I think a really relevant thing about lockdown is that where we would hope that people would visit their vet, and their vet would maybe refer to us as a regulated practicing body, that's not happening, because you just, you post your dog through the door and that's it. So I think that's probably why we've seen the rise of people like Southend dog training on TikTok, and people turning to social media more. I mean, obviously that was already there, and a very popular way to look for quick, cheap, free, easy advice. But I think if we can all work together in our tribe to share each other's posts and shout about each other as well, it just adds that that similar message that hopefully dilutes the other messages that we don't want to get through.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really happy another time to talk about managing social media as well, and come back and talk about that, and because it is tricky, but you've got to be audacious, you've got to be bold, and that's why it's so important that you're in such a good community. Is everybody, when you get known, everybody, even me, I get unpleasant messages from people. I get the pictures of genitalia, and you just have to kind of learn to be resilient to it. But we learn to be resilient by, one thing about resilience is not that you withstand it alone. Resilience isn't about being self-sufficient and having to withstand it, just deal with it and put up with it. That's not resilience. Resilience is saying, this happened to me, I would like to talk about it, it wasn't very nice, and to have people that say, let's work through that with you. So it does happen on social media, let's not pretend it doesn't, but let's make sure that we put in place the kind of self-care that enables us to keep showing up. Because if you don't show up, I guarantee that people who have a message about dog training that you would rather wasn't, they don't care. They don't care what kind of vitriol is poured on them, because they just don't. And so they will get their message out there, no problem at all. So if you don't, and I know on the Pact, if you listen to Barks from the Bookshelf, on the one about Pact, the most recent one, Steve and Corin, you were all talking about mental health, and Steve said, you know, some of us who are in these caring industries, we're a bit more susceptible to feeling the hurt when somebody says something about us on social media. And I think because we're more empathetic, we do feel impacted by it. And so make sure that as part of your resilience practice, you've got people that you can talk to, but whatever you do, don't make it shut you up. It's, you know, it's designed to silence you, and we don't let bullies win, and we don't let fear win. We let community win, and we let the care that we have for each other win, and the care that we have for dogs and the passion that we have for dogs and win. So that would be what my kind of short answer to how you manage social media is. Keep showing up, but use your community to support you. I just wanted to say really quickly about pricing, because I had a question about pricing. So Zoe, thank you for your, if Zoe's still here, I've got your questions. There is a lot of conflicting business advice out there. And what I would say is trust your own judgment. You are the best person. So even anything I say, it's wheat and chaff. Anything that lands with you that you think, oh, that's great, I want to take that in and let that grow in my business, fantastic. But if you think, you know, that doesn't feel good to me, that doesn't work, that's chaff, let it blow away. I'm not the oracle, and no business coach is the oracle. So don't let anybody tell you what you have to do in your business, even if they sound very authoritative. They only know what they know. And, you know, I'm learning all the time. I'm learning all the time. And so are you as dog trainers. We're all map makers and fellow travelers. Brené Brown talks about being a map maker and a fellow traveler, and we all are. So if you hear conflicting business advice and you're not sure, what does your gut tell you? What do you think you should do? Because that's what Track and Manage is all about. We are scientists, not sheep. We test and measure what works for our business. And you might find something that doesn't work for any other business, but it does work for yours. So, you know, trust your gut on that. So that was something, Zoe, that I just noted from what you said. Is it better to have a niche in dog training? I think I covered that in How You Win Your Tribe. If you wanted to ask me anything else about that, Zoe, do say. And the top 5 tips for attracting traffic is to post regularly, be consistent, because if you don't say it, they'll look for somebody else that is. So attracting traffic, we're much more pay to play now. So learning how to use Facebook ads and things like that can be something that we need to engage in. But attracting traffic is really about creating shareable, inhalable content, giving quick wins to people. So think about who you're trying to attract. So think about the business owner, not about other dog trainers. Speak to not the business owner, the dog owner. Who is that person that you are imagining in your mind, or that community of people that are trying really hard to be the best dog owner that they can be? And what are they feeling or thinking in any given moment? Now, you don't know what they're all thinking, but, you know, I know that a lot of you tonight would be thinking, how do I get my pricing right? And so I talk about pricing. You know that a lot of people are thinking, how do I get my dog to come back to me when I'm in the park? And they're on social media, so they're just scrolling. You know, they're not looking for they don't want like a 6-part video series on how to do it. They want one quick win. You know, take a toy with you to the park and play with your dog from time to time. It will make you more sexy than the squirrel. That's a great post for anybody, because it's really speaking the language of the dog owner and meeting one tiny thing that they can do. We have a tendency as experts to want to share everything that we know on a topic. and they need one tiny quick win. And if it's shareable, if it's got a picture and a nice little infographic or a little thing that's really shareable, shareable content is what will attract people to your page. Is it easy for me to consume? Can I get a quick win? And does it look nice? Do I want to share it with other people and say, look at these people that I found? So those would be kind of a few tips to attract people to your page. And I love the idea of you helping each other. But don't forget, if you're sharing content, you're likely to be sharing it within the dog training community, not to the people that you most want to reach. So just be aware of that when you're liking and sharing. You're giving each other credibility and you're helping the algorithm. You're kind of boosting with the algorithm. So that's all great and worthwhile doing, but you're trying to reach dog owners, not dog trainers. And also that's how you will avoid reaching all those nasty people that are going to post horrible things, because it's only dog trainers that say that. Dog owners don't. They just love you for helping them. Is it a good strategy to offer freebies to capture emails? Yes, yes, yes. Again, it's the quick win. You're my favorite dog business. What a question, Natalie. You are my favorite dog business. Right, okay. So sorry, let's go back to the freebies. Again, not everything you know about a topic. 5 ways to make yourself more sexy than the squirrel is a fantastic freebie that people will download all day long. 5 games I can play with my dog on a hot day when I can't take it for a walk. 5 things I can do on a rainy day when I can't take my dog for a walk. 5 Kong recipes, brilliant. Yes, you know, anything that just gives me a quick win but meets a problem that I currently have. So this is all about knowing your ideal community. As ordinary dog owners, what are ordinary dog owners struggling with? And when people come to you, always be asking, what do you want to get out of this class? What made you come to a class? What's most concerning you? Because all of that is data. This is that track and manage. We want to be tracking and gathering data all the time about why people are coming to work with us and what concerns them, because the better you can know your tribe, the better you can speak their language. So yes, absolutely, with freebies. Now, if you've got people then sitting on your email list, so when you said, personally, I get fed up with even 1 a week, is that receiving them from other people? So you're on the wrong email lists, because if you don't like receiving their email, get off their email list. People should love getting your emails because they're so helpful and so valuable and or fun, or whatever you decide yours are going to be. They're going to be fun or informative or inspiring or encouraging. And they're so much that people can't wait to get your next email. What we don't want is these dull, boring emails that say, here's my new program. You know, we can put that in the PS, but what we're doing is nurturing people. So if you invited a group of people to your house to talk to them about having a lovely relationship with their dogs, you wouldn't then ignore them. You'd try and get to know them and interact with them and share useful things with them and make them laugh a bit and make them feel warm and comfortable. Basically getting people onto your email list. You've invited them into your business home and you now need to look after them. So I would say not less than once a fortnight is a good way to nurture, because actually if people are ignored and then they randomly get an email from you selling something, they'll be like, oh, that's not, you know, what you're doing is nurturing the relationship on that email list. So I hope that's helped. Now, pricing. Pricing, such a massive topic, and it's about 6 minutes to go before 8 o'clock. I think I've got is it an hour or have I already gone over time?
Yeah, you've got to condense it into 6 minutes. Sorry.
Okay, I can do that. Right, I'm going to tell you some things that pricing is not first. So let me just, because when you create stuff, you want it to be profitable. You always want to have a profitable business. But one of the things that we really get wrapped around the axle with pricing far more than we need to, and most people are not charging enough. And it's because we have this odd relationship with asking people to pay us for our expertise, even though it's cost us a bomb to get it, and has huge value in the world. It's like we feel guilty for saying training your dog well has enormous value. And what we need to do firstly is truly believe that. Having, being a good dog owner, a responsible dog owner or dog guardian, or however I know dog owner I don't believe we own our dogs, that's and that is problematic. We use that terminology, dog owner, but you don't own that dog. You have, they've come into your life, and I suppose how would I describe it? You're just lucky really to have a relationship with a dog, and that has enormous value. Being good at that relationship has huge value. We pay a lot for relationship counseling. We'll pay a lot to be better at all kinds of things, and people need to value, and we need to express the value really clearly of what it means in society for us to be good at having relationships with dogs that are positive and helpful. So we need to truly believe that value, because then you'll have no problem saying, yes, it costs £350 for you to come on my 6-week course, because that's not that it, there's also a market value. I won't go to £350, but we need to be bold about the value that it has, and there's all kinds of reasons for that. And if you listen, I did do a Barks on the Bookshelf, and we talked about pricing a lot on it. I can't remember which episode it was, but have a listen to that, because I did get into it quite a lot. But let's look at some things that pricing isn't first. Profitable pricing is not a reflection of your worth as a human being. Profitable pricing is not a reflection of how much time you put into your product or service. More time doesn't always equal more value. It's not based on what other people are charging, and it's not based on what you feel comfortable charging. And it's definitely not based on what you think other people will pay, what you think they'll pay. And it's not a movable feast that you can discount whenever you feel a little bit uncomfortable, or there's a brief silence in the conversation. There's a lot of things that pricing is not. Profitable pricing is simply a price that reflects the perceived value to the client of the product or service, and is a figure that works for you and for the client. So profitable pricing is one that reflects the perceived value to the client of the product or service, and is a figure that works for you both. Now, the perceived price is where your tribe comes in. The box tickers, the perceived value to a box ticker is much lower than the perceived value to somebody that understands their relationship and their responsibility as a guardian of a dog. So that's why it's so important that the language that you speak when you're attracting people and when you're getting the message out there is not just force-free is good, but you have a responsibility, if you've brought a dog into your life, to be the best dog owner that you can be the best dog owner, have the best relationship, understand your dog the best that you can. The perceived value of you teaching somebody that will go up. But if we sell it as a box tick, you need a puppy class because we should all be force-free. People who are box tickers, the perceived value is much lower. So it's really important that in your marketing and your connection strategy, you are talking about, you are raising the perceived value to the client. You already know the value. You've got to express that so that the client perceives the value more clearly, so that when you give them the price, they're just like, oh, yeah. Lovely to see you, Natalie. Thank you for joining. That's great. Yeah, unstable internet, what a pain. So that's the first thing really that we need to work on is how are people perceiving the value, and then really what number works for us and what number works for the clients. So we do need to think about, there is a ceiling. People won't pay £5,000 to learn how to have a puppy. They won't. They'll pay £5,000 for the puppy, but they won't actually pay £5,000 to learn how to be a better dog owner. So we know that there is a ceiling price, but the higher the perceived value, the more people will pay. But we need to know what the ceiling price is in our area and with our tribe. So some of you may have a real passion for working with people who are in a much lower income bracket. So then you have to think of ways that the price will work for you. So you have to offer different products and services. You might do more online. You might do larger group classes. You might do, there's any number of ways that you make it so that the price works for you and for the client. So in that bracket, the £3 an hour to £200 for a 6-week course, firstly, you have to decide where you sit within that. Where do I want to sit? Do I want to be at the higher end or do I want to be at the lower end? And then you just have to work out for yourself what number works for you. And then gradually, if you know, I'd like to be charging this, but I can only say this number out loud, raise it each time, raise it a little bit. You don't, if I really, really would like it to be £200 for my 6-week course, but actually I can't say that out loud and keep a straight face, or, I can only say £130, then go with £130, but say the next time I sell it, I'm just going to try 140. And you'll find that absolutely nobody bats an eyelid. And then the next time I'm going to try 160, and gradually you get there because your money mindset adapts to you having that new price. And money mindset and how we feel about money and selling is a whole other topic. But sadly, I am out of time. But that thing about what pricing isn't, that's where we really have that emotional battle, because we all think, oh, other people won't pay that, or I'm not comfortable charging that. Profitable pricing is not about those things. It is about the perceived value to the client and a number that works for you and for them. So I really hope that whistle stop tour into sort of 26 different areas has been helpful. I'm done. I'm here for questions.
Well done.
Thanks, Karen.
Let's see some faces if you're all there, guys, so Karen can see your smiley faces, and you can give her a thumbs up.
I'd love to see smiley faces. Yeah. I'd have liked to have seen them all the time. When you come on these, if you can bear to, be visible. They're nice
dog trainers. They're multitasking. They're probably eating their dinner and writing a report.
That doesn't matter. I don't mind people drinking wine.
Drinking wine. Yeah.
No, I don't mind. I nearly had a cider, but
yes,
I decided it wasn't.
Okay, I can drink mine now if everybody else is.
Yeah, so always it's lovely as a community if you can see each other as well. So as long as you're if you're eating your dinner, that might be a bit different, or somebody's walking naked behind you, as we were discussing earlier. But yeah, it's lovely if as a community you can kind of be visible to each other. Because Zoom's tricky anyway. But fabulous. Has anybody got any questions? You're all stunned in silence.
I've got a comment. It took me a really long time to get my head around pricing. It really, really did. And I definitely at the start of being a dog trainer, raising prices just felt so wrong to me. It felt so wrong because I wanted to be able to offer services to as many people as we possibly could. And I know we talked about that a lot, didn't we, in the early days, back when everything was white, Karen. And it took a lot of coaching for me to actually see that you can still offer those things, but you might have to think about that a little bit differently, and what my worth was in the business. And yeah, that took a long time to stick with me. That's probably out of everything. We joke, don't we, Karen, that I have meetings with you and then 5 years later I put it into practice. Yeah, so I'm not the fastest.
You've got faster. Let's say you have.
And that are really, really good.
Yeah. I think it's a really good point, Stephen. And one of the things I would say is why I have a podcast and why we put out social media content. Because then the people that can't afford to work with me or aren't ready to work with me but want help in their business, they can use the podcast. And it's great for me. It's a way of more people kind of reaching me, but it is also a way of me serving a community of people that need help at a point where sometimes they're not ready or they can't afford to work with me. So think about that. How could you might regularly do a Facebook Live and show a few things with your own dogs, you know, in the garden. It doesn't have to be anything complicated. Look at, if you follow Drax, Nat does lovely videos with Drax and has that huge following, and is helping thousands of people now, and Jay, thousands of people now, to understand how to be patient with their dogs and how to take them on that journey. It's fantastic. So if you have that desire, then think about how you can do that. But you need to be careful about time. You can't be spending all your time there and not on the financial part of your business. But, you know, if there's that dual element where by doing that, you're growing a community of people and then gradually they're going to come and be paying clients, it's a double win. And I always like a nice win-win situation. So yeah, your free content can be so useful to people if you really have that in mind. And that's about being intentional about it being helpful, and you want quick wins on anything like that. Don't overwhelm people.
It's scary though. Scary dog trainers putting videos out online and stuff like that. It's you don't want to put your head above the parapet ever, do you? You don't want to stick it. It takes a lot of courage. But then it doesn't have to be a video, you know. It could be a little blog, could be, you know, it could be whatever, like a podcast, like what Karen said. It could be anything that's kind of putting you out there.
Yeah, it does. Video, I know that, because the reason that video gets the traction is because people are seeing how you're doing it. But the only people that criticize you are other dog trainers, and they can just go and do one. You know, they just, we need to be thinking much more about the poor dog owner who's got themselves in a right pickle at home and desperately would like some help, but either can't afford it, doesn't have time, or is so overwhelmed or ashamed that they can't bear to go to a class or pick up the phone. Think about that person. The fucking dog trainer. Sorry, can you edit that?
Well, it's a good test for whether the new subtitles pick up swear words, and they do.
Those people that are watching the internet so they can criticize other dog owners, they'll give me Tourette's. I want to say a lot of rude things about them.
And I think if we're targeting dog owners, then we need to keep it a lot simpler and get out of our own heads about it. You know, at the moment, people are probably thinking, how can I keep my dog cool? And so doing a little video of, you know, feeding some kibble in an empty paddling pool, stuff that we all do day in, day out and think is common sense. Someone out there will not have considered it with their dog.
They wouldn't have even thought about having a paddling pool for their dog. You know, probably until I met the Pact gang, I wouldn't have considered half the stuff that I do with my dog now. You know, putting a Kong in the freezer, I never would have thought about that. Or, you know, putting ice cubes in their water, or, you know, even the fact that Milo, one of our dogs, likes eating ice cubes. It's perfect. Get a couple out of the freezer and off he's off. You know, little thing, but you videoing yourself doing that with the dog is just so much more powerful and will get so much more traction, is so much more shareable, because the one thing that you have in your favor is you've all got gorgeous dogs and everybody loves dog video and dog pictures. So you can absolutely get your message out there so much more than the people who you don't want people following are doing it. So unless you overwhelm that market and saturate it with the right messages, people won't have any choice but to watch those people and think that that's still how things are done.
Yeah, that's why we're going for TikTok.
Yeah, cool. TikTok's great.
Corin's on it because she's the youngest one of the gang.
You don't.
So
you're doing dancing?
No, she's got a plan. It's going out. Are you going to try and do it over the weekend or tomorrow?
Oh, I've got a few videos in there. I'd really love a few more. So I might do another shout out tomorrow, see if we can get a few more videos in the folder, and then I'll do it from there.
What videos do you need?
I'll do some tomorrow, but I've been dressed in like I'm a sweaty mess clothes, which no one needs to see, to be honest. So I'll put a decent outfit on tomorrow and I'll do a video with all of my dogs.
Fabulous. Any other questions, comments, anything I can help you with? Awesome. The Smart Business Podcast is there. It's on Spotify and on iTunes. Oh, for a nature walk.
Perfect.
I hope you're doing some other stuff. So yeah, do listen to it. There's over 60 episodes, 67 episodes now. And funnily enough, this latest one is about being more intentional in your business. And one of the things is about being intentional about self-care. So yeah, do go and find that. It's there for you. And I'm always happy to come back and speak to you at any point if that would be useful. So I will wait to see.
We would love to have you back. And on that seamless note, we have got a feedback form because, you know, we should be having intentional actions and taking data. So we'll post that in the Facebook event afterwards. And yeah, just let us know what you think. And if there's any subjects that you want Karen to come back and talk about.
And I will pop the pole position framework over to you. It's in a PowerPoint slide. It's very simple, but I will pop that over to the Pact Gang, and you can put it in the Facebook group. I'm really happy for it to go anywhere. So no problem. Thank you so much for all staying so late and being lovely. That was really, it's lovely to see you all.
Brilliant.
All right then. Well, thanks guys. We'll probably stay on and just say goodbye to Karen and
we're doing fake goodbye.
Yeah, we'll do fake goodbye like on the
fake
podcast.
Goodbye.
So fake bye. And we'll see you all soon.
Take care. See you all.
Bye.
Oh, lovely. I'm just going to do that now before I forget.
Oh, I'll stop recording as well.
Email.
Okay.